Well, all right, all right, all right. Happy Friday, everybody. It's Coach Lois. I'm so excited to be back. It's been a couple weeks since our last guest, and I'm super excited to be rounding out October with my new friend, Joe Fair, who I'll be introducing here in a second. And I just want to say happy early Halloween, All Saints Day, whatever you guys celebrate. Just really excited to be back here to give a lot of encouragement. I've been seeing and hearing a lot of you. A lot of people have been going through a lot this month, it seems like. And so based on what my guest shared 2 weeks ago, we talked about that and the reasons why. Now today, we want to give you the gift of encouragement. And I'm really excited. A very inspirational story. And if you guys are tuning in live, wherever you're tuning in from, because of course I live stream all of my shows, go ahead and hit the share button. Sharing is caring. You just never know who you might inspire today with this message. And of course, if you're on live, hashtag live and where you're tuning in from. And if you're on the replay, hashtag replay. And we will have an opportunity about halfway through the show. If you have questions, comments, I always like to acknowledge anybody that shows up while we're here. And if you have questions for our guests or for me today, we'd love to hear from you. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce my guest today, Joe Fair, who is a firefighter, police officer who had, been in the industry for over 2 decades, had a near fatal accident, and he found his inner author, and he's going to talk about that journey today. Joe, I'm so excited to have you here to share your story and to inspire us.
Lois, it's my honor to be on your show. Yes, it was a while back. Vinny Enriquez connected us, and I told Vinny at one point, if you could get me on with Lois, it will be a wonderful conversation. So here we are. Yes, firefighter police officer, had a near fatal accident, found my inner author, and like we were discussing earlier, my message basically is if you've got a dream in life, you can't let it die. You've got to put faith behind your dream and act on it, often finding a coach, finding the right group of people to be around, and staying motivated is the secret to taking an idea that I had in a book and bringing it to market. I believe anybody can if they get around the right group of people.
That's amazing, because I talk to a lot of people who want to write a book. I also talk to a lot of people who have published a book, but then what? So I'd love to hear more about, how, because this is intriguing to me, that this near fatal accident inspired you to find your inner author. Can you tell more of the details if that's okay? Because it sounds like
No,
it's going to be
it's fine.
amazing.
It's fine. Yes, I was working part time as a police officer responding to a 911 call. It was early in March. Here in West Michigan, we have snowstorms. Responding over to the next community, was involved in a traffic accident. Went through a yellow light. I had the right of way. Went through a yellow light, got struck, and then initially after the accident, I didn't really understand my injuries. I torqued a neck and bruised soft tissue and whatnot. During that period of my life, like a lot of people, I reflected back on how did I get to where I was at? What exactly happened? Uh, was I going to proceed forward in my career? I had a little time at home trying to get over the injuries and trying not to feel sorry for myself. I decided to flip the coin and started writing a little bit of creative writing on my computer, and eventually saw a chapter or two and said, wow, this is a great story. I've got to pursue this. And then it stalled a few times. I had to get connected to the right people, listen to some inspirational messages, connect with people, find an editor, proofreader, publisher, and all that. It was about a 4-year journey for me from the time I came up with the idea of writing the book till it came out. It stalled a couple times, and I had the good fortune to be surround myself with the right people, right community to keep me motivated, hold me accountable, and bring the book to the market. My life's been great since got the book published.
Well, it's interesting because I don't know how you, if you've been following my podcast all year. I probably haven't, but my husband, he opened up his channel and started painting. I started writing again, and a lot of there's like this creative energy flow that's coming through right now on the planet, and I see it. And I talk about this in my coaching programs about how a lot of us get stuck in our left brain, the analytical mind. The left hemisphere is the logic, the numbers, the analysis, the training. And then there's the right hemisphere that's all about the creative, the intuition, the artistry. And so, I mean, do you feel like you started almost like having an awakening through your writing? Like, how did it impact you?
Your insight is completely right. That right side of your brain, if you get too analytical in life, things get too serious, and you have some struggle. And then if you can connect to that creative side, often when you're going through struggle or difficulty in life, to have that thing to maybe give you balance and perspective, so that I may be having a trouble in my personal life, but I'm getting some good energy out of the creative aspect of it, kind of pad your way
Mhm.
through the life. And yeah, I've had the luxury to be born with a creative mind, and it's been my refuge when I have some chaos in my regular life. I lean on my creativity and use that to improve the quality of my life. So yes, you're completely right. That right side, that creative mind, can be a great gift in life. You can't let it worry. You have to use it constructively to get the best value out of that.
That's so amazing. And I'm really, impressed that you talked about also that you had the book project stall. I mean, how many of us, I admittedly, autobiographically right here, I've started writing my book and I'm really excited about it, but I keep having a blockage. Okay. And so I would love for your tips and tricks on how did you work through or around the stalled moments and get back going again?
Yeah, that is a great question. Um, when I've been stalled, what I've tried to do is go onto the internet and research some and look at maybe another creative person or an author that's been stalled and see what they did. And for me, when I got in touch with this idea that I got to go out into nature, experience some nature, and get emotionally grounded, and accept that the process has an up and down. The creative process, you have more like a wave. You have a creative wave, and you ride that like you're on a surfboard, and then there's a lull. And there's a day where you wax your surfboard and you prepare for the next good day of surfing, and then you have to wait till surf's up. And when surf's up, you got to listen to your intuition, and you got to
Hmm.
block out that day and sit down at that keyboard and type out while the inspiration is there. That was basically how I got through it, and realizing that we all have fear. We all have fear in our life, and if we get caught up in a creative project, we want to know what the final result is. We want to know it's going to be successful. That can stall us, and we're not in the present moment. We're caught up in a future fear, and it blocks that creative process in the moment. At one point on the book, when I pulled it back down off the shelf, I prayed and I said, I accept any result. If it's successful, if it fails, if it doesn't publish, I'm just going to keep typing. I'm going to keep telling my story. And when it's done, it's going to go to the publisher. And maybe it'll be great, and maybe it won't. But it kept me in the present moment by just taking my mind off the result. When
Hmm.
you're in the process, you can't get too caught up in the result. When you're caught up in the result, you're a little not caught up in the moment of the process. So yes, uh, listening to other people that have been there, getting a little feedback and coach, and then trying to keep my mind right in the present moment.
Oh my gosh, that was beautiful. Because no matter whether, those of you that are listening, no matter whether you're writing a book, no matter whether you're launching a new project like I am right now, I've had tons of fear. and I even coach on this stuff, Joe, and to stay in the present moment, sometimes moment by moment is kind of a big feat. So I want to get in additional nuggets from you on how do you best trust that intuition and stay in the present moment. And I don't know if those are like two different directions.
No, you make a valid point. At one point in my life, I poo-pooed meditation, and then I grew up a little bit in life and figured out that we are kind of meditating when we're praying. We're meditating. Occasionally, we're meditating when we're driving a car, which seems a little weird, but we get caught up in a rhythmic type of thing. Meditation is probably the best way to get your mind into a place where you can get into the moment and stay focused in the moment. And I, through the process of writing the book, got in the habit of meditating every day or every other day, 45 minutes when I can, 20 minutes when I can't. When I get blocked, I have the luxury of having a mind that tells me, go lay down and meditate and breathe a little and let go and surrender, come back to it. So I've had that luxury in my life. It's probably how I've got past some of the writing blocks is to meditate and breathe, visualize white light, listen to something inspirational on the internet, listen to somebody else who's been writing something and ran into a blockage and listen to how they worked past it. I think being connected to the right community helps you go through these processes of blockage and release and just see it's part of the process.
I love it. Yeah, I have a saying that no one succeeds alone. That was actually the name of my first book, where I talked about my journey as an Ironman triathlete. And I actually it was a memoir reflecting on my first 27 years of my life at that time. Not even, no near fatal accident. So it was just inspiring to be able to just share and to be able to have that inspiration. It's just so beautiful. I'd love for you to tell more about what your book is about, the story that came from within that now you have packaged so beautifully and sharing with the world.
Yes. To start, the book is a fiction novel in the interest of avoiding conflicts of interest. I did get to the point in my life where I was listening to another author talk about their book, and they said, if you have a really interesting life experience and you anonymize it and you fictionalize it and you take that silhouette of what happened, maybe the philosophical learning you got from that experience, and then you structure the story through that experience where here's what happened to me, here's what I learned, here's what I have to offer to the world from that experience. When I learned that, I knew the book. I knew the book had legs, and I knew the book would be good. But fundamentally, in the book, it's Joseph Campbell's hero's journey that I think we all go through in life to some degree or another. We have a challenge. We have to show up. We have to strengthen ourselves, go out in the wilderness, find our courage, and then put on our suit of armor and march forward toward that. And at the core of the book in the second act is me having to stand up and face natural disaster and save lives. So I kind of draw a picture in the book how I prepared for it, showed up, acted, and reflected back on it at the end of the book. There's a real good feel-good part in the third act where we celebrate a success of saving lives.
Wow. I can't even imagine, because I've never done what you have done. What is it like to save a life?
Well, I think that the key thing that people should learn from people that do service or public safety is nobody really saves anybody's life. It's a group effort. You're with a team of people. If you get totally honest, the wisdom comes from the elder people that were doing the job before you 20 years before. And you go to the fire academy or police academy and they tell you stories about what happened in their career. And that molds your ability to be a team member, understand where you fit in, understand your strengths and weaknesses. Uh, I believe the one that comes to mind is we pulled a 3-year-old that fell into a pool. Very, very unusual situation near drowning. The one that comes to mind, I think about the fact that to show up that day on that 911 call and work with my team, it was just purely because we had good training. We had good training. We knew what to do. The 911 came in. Everybody, when they got off the fire truck, everybody knew. Nobody talked to each other. I got the first in bag. The captain got the radio. My buddy John got the heart start and the oxygen, and we just acted. And it went well. We saved the child's life, and then eventually the parents thanked us. And just a really good day in that business. I think I wouldn't give credit to anybody that day. We worked as a team and we showed up.
I love that. Yeah, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. No one succeeds alone is when we all come together for a common cause, anything is possible. And in your case, saving a life is, I can't even fathom how empowering and powerful and also humbling at the same time.
Yes, very
really
humbling, very humbling.
That's so powerful. Do you have another book in you? Are you writing another one?
This is End of Watch 1. End of Watch 2 is in outline. There could possibly be an End of Watch 3. I have 3 or 4 projects cooking right now. I started writing for Heart of Hollywood magazine. I'm doing spec articles for them and whatnot. So I'm pretty busy right now doing stuff, but the second book will eventually come out. It's just magazines right now appear to be what I'm doing in the short term. That could slow down and then the book speeds up. But like anything, when you're a writer, you show up and do what's pressing, and then you always have a second project.
I love it. Okay, wonderful. Well, what other words of wisdom for our healthy and wealthy and wise listeners do you want to share with us today? And it could be expanding upon your writing, intuition, anything that's encouraging for our audience. I would welcome.
Yes. Fear often, like we're sitting down to write a book or something, the fear of it is often bigger in our head and in our imagination than it is in life. And then if we get around the right community, the right people, we're talking to them, it somehow affects our perspective on how big the fear is. I don't think the fear goes away, it shrinks. And then when the fear in your head shrinks, often we feel motivated to try and do risky things. But if we elevate it in our head, it kind of paralyzes us, and we're less motivated to take action and move on something. So I would suggest anybody find a good group of people, find a good community like you have here, connect with those people, get inspiration and wisdom, and take your dream and write it down, and focus on your dream, and don't let anybody tell you that you're not going to complete it.
Well, there's that. Thank you. Because fear is, my last guest, we talked about fear is not real. It's totally an illusion. I mean, there's life and death, right? You've experienced that. So there are things to, I guess logically be afraid of. But when someone's in the heat of the moment, we talk a little bit inside of my group, Healthy and Wealthy and Wise, about the trauma responses: fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. When the fear can be imagined as so big, a lot of people will block themselves. I think that's the freeze. Yeah, that would be the freeze, and they don't actually pursue their goal. And I see that all the time in sales. So if you have any other nuggets or recommendations for if someone is, and I know we've talked about it, but if there's anything else that pops in your mind to share on how to work around that freeze aspect that might block you.
Yeah, that freeze aspect is really like the make or break for most people when they have a creative project. It's in them, but they're afraid to take it to market. The freeze is in there. I believe what you have to do is get around people who have kind of been in that freeze mode and listen to how they went through the thought process to get past it. I think when you hear somebody else go through the struggle and then stand up and act, it triggers something in your subconscious mind and it says, well, if so and so did it, I could do it. And if so and so faced their fear, I can do it. And if you hear that replicated in a community amongst good people, then once you understand that, it really motivates you to break out of that thing. And it's often just two or three good people that just say, let go of your fear and go for it.
I love it. That's so powerful. That's because I talk a lot about this inside of my as a transformational sales coach. My passion is to help people transform, like transmute that fear. I also call it shadow work, where you're facing the darkness so that you can bring it up into the light and release it and let it go. Maybe if you can speak to that also, just if you agree, any thoughts?
I studied that, integrating the shadow and bringing that up and facing that thing. I believe we all have some shadow work to do. I believe we have to take it in little bites and work on some key part of our fear. At one point, I was afraid of doing public speaking, so I think I was in junior high. I couldn't go up in front of the classroom and tell a story about water skiing. A teacher asked me to go up and do a book report and stand from. I was incapable of doing that seventh, eighth grade. Right now, I'm going on podcasts and I'm talking as an author and doing public speaking. So often people have to hear that somebody was in that thing. They hadn't done their shadow work. They had to face that fear. They had to accept, okay, I have a weakness here. I'm not good at going up in front of the classroom and reading a book report. And I talked to the teacher at the time, and the teacher said, this is completely normal. First, you got to read it to me, and when the classroom's empty, you got to go home and stand in front of the mirror and read it. And she gave me steps to work through. And then the day she called me to go up in front of the class, I read the book report, and I was very nervous, but went through, read it, and then I was pleasantly surprised when a couple of people clapped, and a couple of people told me I did good because I thought it was just a crap book report. But it's little steps like that, shadow work, figure out what it is, write down what your shadow work is you need to do, find a coach, get advice, little small step, another baby step, baby step, and then that builds your confidence. And then at some point, your shadow work gets larger, I guess, as far as you find a bigger challenge, and then you want to work up to a bigger challenge. And if you continue to do your shadow work, you proceed forward and become more comfortable in social situations and going on podcasts.
I love it. That's so cool. I had a total visual of myself. I remember shaking in my boots in junior high, reading a report, because I also wasn't actually very passionate about the subject matter. So I think I had some imposter syndrome going on there. So, and I love that you said that fear doesn't really go away, because I will tell you, fear of rejection is the number one thing that kills most sales careers, right? Yeah. And so I teach people, you got to gamify it. You got to actually make it your friend. You got to have fun with it some way, somehow. Because I do think we live in a society where people think it's weak to say, I'm afraid, or it's bad. You got to overcome it, and you've got to be like, always on. And can you say anything about what your perception is around that? Because I think a lot of that never let us see you sweat mindset, keeping up with the Joneses, right? We compare ourselves to other people, so we don't want to shine our light so much as well. So any advice around
the thing as far as put your best foot forward or something, I was listening to a podcast, maybe, God, it was 5 years ago. It was a pretty famous person. I don't want to say what their name is, but they admitted that they got started in business, they got over enthusiastic, they broke out their credit cards, they charged up a bunch of stuff, and then they failed their first business. And when they said that, and they were very vulnerable and they're very successful later in life, I came away with this nugget that if person A, who now today is pretty famous, pretty wealthy, pretty successful, if they started out there, I shouldn't have guilt and shame tied to this perfectionism of showing up. I have to pay my dues. I have to have some stumbling in life. I have to be vulnerable. I have to explain to people that success is usually a couple failures and a pivot, because the failure will tell you you're not aligned with your mission. You just went off on a mission, you got part of the way through it, and you figured out it's not aligned with your energy. It's not who you are. Life gives you feedback and it says, okay, now it's time to pivot to a new direction. There's no way to know for certain when we start something if it's aligned with us. We have to proceed forward. But yeah, when people are authentic and they can admit they made mistakes, they had to pivot, they had to learn, it motivates other people to do the same, become genuine, figure out who they are as a person. When you get in touch with your authentic self, then your personal power goes up, your tendency to want to take chances goes up, your ability to tolerate stress goes up quite a bit when you're caught into authentic way of communicating. But yes, we live in a society that conditions the other thing, and we have to push away from it.
Yeah, I think it's just really important. A lot of us, we live in an age of separation, feeling separate, and that's actually going away, I believe. And knowing that we're not alone and identifying with other people who are real, authentic has really transformed myself over the past couple of years. And I think the pandemic, even though I know some people that it's been a tough road, I think a lot of us are more humble, authentic, vulnerable, willing to share, that we don't have it all figured out. So I know that's helped me. And this has been so wonderful, Joe. Where can people find you and share how they can get connected with you and your book?
Yes. Joseph Fair at Facebook or LinkedIn. Author Joseph Patrick Fair at Facebook. I try to get back with people. I get a lot of messages on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. Those are the three platforms I'm on the most. If somebody's listening to this and they want to interact with me and talk or whatnot, I try to take a cover from the book, put their name on it, and text that digital copy of the cover with my autograph on it to support my fans and my writing. So anybody listening, feel free to reach out to me and try to contact me, Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter. I'll try to get you an autographed digital cover of my book. And hopefully you buy my book. If you go to Amazon, just put in To Die a Hero, End of Watch 1, or Joseph Patrick Fair. It'll get you to my book.
Awesome. Thank you for that generous gift. I have one more question for you, Joe, so don't go anywhere. I did want to share with my audience, talk about overcoming fear, some really cool things that are happening in my community, my vision that I've shared with a lot of you. If you haven't heard it, my vision is to grow this community to 1,000 paid subscribers by the end of 2023. A lot of people are looking for their best health and their best wealth. And I wanted to create something where people can actually have that community like Joe and I were talking about to work through the fear. There's a lot of people who've quit and they're starting new businesses, and that can be a scary thing, right? So we welcome all of you, even if you're a stay-at-home mom, the subscription will help you. If you want to focus on your business, the subscription will help you. If you want to focus on your marriage and your relationships, the subscription will help you. So you can go to healthyandwealthyandwise.com to learn more. And then also I am looking for patrons. Patrons is anywhere from $10 a month to $200 a month. And it's a sacred exchange. By supporting this podcast community as a patron, you receive incredible value, and you'll also be able to help us expand our reach. So to help me get to that goal of 1,000 to really, it's not about me, it's about we. Like, how can we all come together and grow to our best health and best wealth and best wisdom in 2023 and take a huge leap forward into life together. So I'm really excited to share that with you guys. And I'll also, next Tuesday, I'm going to be interviewing my husband, and he's going to be talking about his journey as a medium, talk about fear, faced a lot of fear to develop his gifts of channeling and mediumship. So stay tuned for that next episode as well. So, Joe, I always ask this question of all of my guests. So if you were on with Vinny and you watched that, you might know the question. But what is, when you hear the phrase healthy and wealthy and wise, what does that mean for you?
It means showing up in life and trying to get your health to the highest possible level you can, your wealth to the most highest level, and your wisdom. And by being a member of this community and connecting with Lois, she will guide you slowly and patiently to your best self. And hopefully, if it's aligned with your purpose in life, you'll become healthy, wealthy, and wise.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joe. I appreciate you. And guys, if you saw value in today's show, whether you're watching it live or the replay, hit the share button. As I always say, sharing is caring. And we went deeper on some topics around fear, intuition, and how do you have, faith and courage to keep you moving forward when you feel blocked. And I think so many people can relate to that message. So hit the share button and go to, again, Healthy and Wealthy and Wise to see who our November guests will be. And I want to wish you guys an amazing weekend. Until next time, here's to your best health, your best wealth, and your best wisdom. Bye-bye for now.